startup procedure for our dual pump skid. So turn this on, turn your VFD on as well. If you notice, as soon as you turn it on, it's faulted as B4. That's 100% normal. We want that. While we're waiting for it to start up, want to make sure that both your inlet valves to your pumps are open. Okay, so now we're faulted B4. That's 100% normal. What you want to do is go here where it says system disabled in gray. Click that and it'll turn green and say system enabled. So now what you want to do is look at your set point and make sure that's what you need. Typically we run our systems at 40 PSI here. There's customers that need up to 55 PSI, but that'll vary depending on the customer. Now we want to make sure that they're both in normal mode. So left side, pump 1, right side, pump 2, normal, we're good. If your run times don't match, say this run time was 0, but that one was like 2,000 hours. This one is gonna run 2,000 hours to catch up to that one. So go ahead, reset both of those, make sure we're all good. Now into our settings page. You wanna make sure you have your 1 to 2 pump set point at 100%. That basically means if one of my pumps was running at 100% for more than 60 seconds, it'll go ahead and call the other pump to help it out as well. And your 2 to 1, that just means once you go down below 95% with both pumps on for 60 seconds or longer, it'll go ahead and switch back over to 1. Hibernate set point 45%. So if we're ever running below 45%, it'll go ahead and go into sleep mode, and then it'll turn back on if you have demand. Pump on minimum pressure, that is a very important one. You want to make sure that that's set at your set point or a little below. So say my set point's 40, I go ahead and set it at 40 just so that way if we turn it off, it'll kick back on the next time. Lead lag swap delay time, that we go ahead and set it to 24 hours. That way it'll run pump 1 today, pump 2 tomorrow. System low fault set point 0 PSI, system high pressure fault 65 PSI. Typically don't run it above 65. Here, this one's really important as well. If you don't have that enabled, gotta make sure that that's checked off. It's not gonna run. So right now, wake time is 0, sleep is 24. We're gonna be running 24 hours a day, every day. If you wanted to run it at 8 a.m. and off at 8 p.m., at 0, you'd change it to 8. And then your sleep, you'd set it to 20 because it's on military time. Then you check that off. And now it'll run 8 to 8. But for now, I need it to run 24/7. Now settings page 3, restore factory settings. Typically don't need to do that unless we're on the phone with you. Okay, settings page 4, these are just calculations for our transducers to see what PSI we're getting from our pump. Trend. Don't really need much on there. PID, this one's really important as well. You want to make sure that these numbers under custom are under your PID. But if you have a bunch of zeros here, all you got to do is press that button. It'll transfer these numbers over there. And then with our input range minimum, we want to make sure that that's set to 0. Input range max, 70 PSI as our max. Output range minimum, 0. Output range max 100%. If that's not set, it's not gonna run. So now we'll go into alarms. There's typically 2 things that'll fault the system out, your temp sensors and this wire right here that would be hooked up to your low water. And if that's the case, you'll have your VFDs shown B4 as well. You have hard alarms and soft alarms, so say you had a temp sensor fault out, you'd have an alarm up there. I'll show you the fault on the temp sensor, what it would look like. Okay. So these temp sensors have a lock and an unlock, so I'm gonna go ahead and unlock it. Yeah, if you notice you have Celsius and Fahrenheit, Celsius, Fahrenheit. This is your set, that's your reset. Right now we have it set to about 95 degrees and our reset is 90 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and trip it. You'll have a green and a yellow light. And if you notice, you have a fault on your HMI, and both VFDs are faulted as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it back the way it should be. And now you gotta make sure you press reset, enable system, and you're back where you were. Now all you got to do is set your system into auto. It'll count up 5 seconds and then turn the system on. Now I'll go ahead and show you what you need to do. Let's say pump 2 was down. We burnt up a seal or burnt up a VFD. What you got to do is go under service and select maintenance mode. And now all you got to do is go back to your main. Now this is disabled, so you can't turn that on. Now you can still run pump 1. Say you had a VFD that went bad, lightning struck, whatever, it took your VFD out. What would happen then, you would contact us, order a new VFD, and then you have to set these parameters here into the VFD. And then once you do that, you're back up and running.